And joining us now with more on former U.S. President Trump's pick of JD Vance as his running mate is Rabbi Tuly Weisz, founder of Israel 365. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Lidar.
So, big news as former President Trump announces his running mate, JD Vance. What do we know about him, especially when it comes to Israel?
Well, number one, I love that he's from Ohio. I'm from Ohio. He's from Middletown, Ohio, like in the Southwest, a small town in Appalachia. He's an American success story, but I also love that picture of him at the Kotel, at the Western Wall, when he was here 2 years ago. I got to meet him briefly, and he talked about his love for Jerusalem and how Jerusalem, what he said, is the most important cultural heritage site in the world.
Incredible. So, you know, there were a number of possible nominees that Trump could have picked. Some speculated on DeSantis or others with a very pro-Israel track record. Do you think this is a good pick for Trump when it comes to his policy on Israel? I mean, especially when you compare him, for example, to former Vice President Mike Pence, who really had a true love of Israel.
I think that JD Vance is a great replacement for Mike Pence, and for a few reasons. Number one, he's a great American success story. He pulled himself up. He built himself up from really a very challenging childhood and had great success as an entrepreneur, as an author, and as a senator and in politics. He represents really the next generation of conservative Republican leadership. And of course, he's a Make America Great Again guy. He's an American first president, which a lot of Jews and a lot of Israelis are nervous about, but it's not scary, right? America needs to be a great country in order for Israel to be strong. And so he is very clear. He distinguishes his stance on Ukraine, where he's against American support for the never-ending war in Ukraine, and he's very supportive of Israel finishing the war against Hamas.
And right, and he just made comments yesterday calling on Israel to finish the war. This sort of raised some eyebrows here in Jerusalem. I mean, can you maybe expand on that?
Well, in his foreign policy perspective, he outlined in a speech to the Quincy Institute, he said that his foreign policy really rests on two things. Number one is that American industrial economy has to be very strong for the American foreign policy to be strong, but he also says something really important for us. He says that American foreign policy is based on the middle class's moral instincts. American middle class moral instincts. And he says that as a Christian, America will, as a Christian, he supports Israel, and America will always support Israel because its moral instincts are to be with Israel. As the country with the largest Christian majority, he says that America will always stand with Israel. That's something really important for us to internalize, that Israel should embrace its Jewish identity and not be afraid of American first policies and an American first administration.
That's an interesting point that you raised, because many in Jerusalem were really looking to Trump to see who he would pick and if that would be sort of indicative of his continued pro-Israel foreign policy like we saw during his first term. So my question really is, you know, do you think a second Trump administration is going to be as favorable towards Israel as the first?
I think even more so, that in the second Trump administration, they're going to want to expand the Abraham Accords and for Israel to be able to build more relationships with Saudi Arabia and our other Sunni nations in the region. And also, Trump has even said that he is looking beyond the Palestinian state issue. He no longer believes that the Palestinian Arabs deserve a state. And I think that JD Vance will be another strong ally of his on the Trump-Vance ticket to look for an alternative beyond a two-state solution, which is going to be very good for Israel. Israel might also need to become more independent of the United States and maybe to start weaning ourselves away from American foreign aid and American military aid. Both of those things are going to be ultimately good for Israel.
All right, well, Rabbi Tuly Weisz, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today.
Absolutely.